Welcome back to Leveraging Leadership, where we unpack the art of business leadership. I'm your host, Emily Sander, Chief of Staff turned Executive Leadership Coach. This show is all about finding your points of greatest influence and leveraging them to better serve those around you. Our listener question for today comes from Catherine F., and she says, Emily, I've got a big presentation coming up on our company's new customer engagement strategy. And my natural style is to prepare by writing everything out word for word. I script it, I practice it, I try to anticipate every possible question so I don't get caught off guard. The problem is when I present it, it feels like I'm on tracks. If something throws me off, I completely lose my place. It's stressful because I'm spending all this time memorizing and controlling for every scenario, and yet I still feel shaky. Part of it is that I'm trying to be so exact with the words I choose because I want to make sure I'm conveying the meaning I intend, but it ends up adding even more pressure. How do I prepare in a way that helps me feel confident without having to hold on to a script for dear life? All right, Catherine, I feel you. I have been there. I've prepared the exact same way or very, very similar. And it sucks. It sucks. There's so much anxiety and there's so many exact words. And if it goes this way, what do I say? Let me prepare for every single scenario and hope I don't get caught on a scenario I haven't prepared for. And then of course, my experience has been you get in there and stuff has totally not gone to plan and my script is pretty much useless. Okay. So good question. This is going to help a lot of people. Two things that I keyed in on when I was reading your question. Thing number one is there's a sense of exactness, and precision. And this is the right word, and this is the right thing to say, and here's the wrong thing to say. That's one lens to use, one paradigm to use. I think it's probably hurting you more than it's helping you in this particular case. So being methodical, being precise, being prepared are all good things, definitely good things. And if you take them too far, or if you apply them in the wrong ways, it can hurt you more than help you. And I think what I'm hearing, and I think you're identifying this as well, is you've gotten to that point where it's this is kind of a double-edged sword now, and I'm kind of impaling myself in certain ways. So I would just share that as an observation and an awareness for you. Second thing I keyed in on was this sentence around, where is it? The sentence around meaning. Because I want to make sure I'm conveying the meaning I intend. Okay, conveying the meaning you intend is great. That's golden. That's what I think, Catherine, you should center your prep around. So you're talking about how do I prepare for presentations? I would center around that. What is my main message here? What's my main message? At different levels. So the biggest level is for my overall presentation about new customer engagement strategy. What is the main message I want to convey to my audience? Then there's probably subsections within that. So it might be, let's say, just three sections, section 1, 2, and 3. Within section 1, what's the key idea there? What's the main message there? For section 2, same thing. For section 3, if they take nothing else away from section 3, what do I want them to know? What do they have to know by the end? So you can go through that exercise. And that is a theme, a thought, a word, maybe a phrase, maybe a sentence, but no more than that. We're not writing out bullet points with, sub bullet points and sentences that turn into paragraphs. And now we're back into a script. We're not doing that. We're saying, okay, let me sit back and think about what is the main message that I'm trying to convey, I'm intending to convey for this whole presentation. And then for any distinct sections or themes I have within that, how do I think about those? And inherent in that are elements such as follows. So you could say, look, I'm in this every day. So Catherine, you might be giving the new customer engagement strategy presentation because you've come up with that and you've been in that day to day. You've looked at the metrics. You've spoken with people. You've spoken with the team leaders. You've spoken with the team members. You've maybe spoken with clients themselves. You see all the reporting. You're immersed in the data. And so you know this stuff. You take for granted what you know. So you're saying, okay, how do I distill this and bring the most relevant parts of this up to the surface and say, okay, I'm going to capture that as my main message. For section 2, I need to key in on this. They've got to know this. Okay, that's important. And then you might marry that up with, okay, what do I know about my audience? All right. So I've got a couple people I'm presenting to. Two of them were in a previous meeting, and that's where we identified some problems in our original plan. And that's why we had to revamp this thing and push it for 6 months. I'm making this stuff up, right? But you might know that about 2 or 3 people you're presenting to. These other folks who you're presenting to are coming in cold. They have no context for this. Okay, so knowing my audience, knowing that I'm immersed in the data, what's most relevant for them? What's going to be most important for them? What questions do they have? What biases do they have? What context do they need? What is my key message that I want to convey for this entire presentation? And then I'm going to break it down for them in 3 sections. What's my key message and idea for section 1, 2, and 3? All right. Now, once you have those, and again, don't go crazy with it, just a word, a theme. If you want to write it down, maybe, but just think through it too. You know it. And then you can speak to those points in one of 100 different ways. And that's the beauty of it, right? You're not fixed to I have these words in this script and I can't derail myself from that. I can't go off track from that. So instead of the exact words, instead of the quote unquote right words, it's I know my key point. I can talk to that this way. I can talk to it that way. I can use this example. I can use that example. In the course of this conversation, this dialogue with the audience, a new thought path might come about or a new example, or they're talking about it like this. They think about it like this. Maybe I go with their analogy and go with the visual they just threw out there. Like, oh, okay, well, if you're thinking about it like a house, then think about it like this type of house or whatever. It might be, oh, they think it's this. That is actually not connected to the root core issue. I've got to connect those dots. Okay, given what they just said, how can I get them there? And you're right with them in the moment. You're not on a script on your own. You're right with them and you're listening and you're paying attention to what they're saying, what they're not saying, what they're picking up on, what they're not picking up on. All of this is more dynamic, right? It's more dynamic, it's more alive, it's more engaging than just like, here's my script. I'm reading it word for word. I cannot do anything but verbatim this script. There's a difference. So I would key in on things like that. Okay, the another thing you can do, and this is an exercise that Catherine, you can apply, and other listeners listening, this is just a good communication tool. This helps you get away from words, get away from the exact words you want to use. Sections 1, 2, and 3, you have the main bullet points and main messages for each one. Now apply the attitude that goes with those main messages. And I don't mean sass by attitude, although you can be sassy in your presentation if your presentation calls for that. What I mean is the emotion behind it. So the sentiment behind it. Here are some examples. Let's say that I'm gonna make some stuff up here, Catherine, for your new customer engagement strategy. Section 1 might be level setting on where we've come from, and maybe where we've come from is not great. We had to push this thing 6 months. Remember, we ran into some unforeseen obstacles. Stuff didn't go our way. We had to do like whatever, like something bad happened. So the sentiment is like, hey, like this wasn't great. I'm going to acknowledge it again and level set folks from where we came from and talk about how far we've come. Okay. The attitude for section 2 might be, hey, we figured it out. Our team went to work. It wasn't easy. We had to investigate. We had to throw out some hypothesis and guesses and figure out like what actually was causing this thing. And that's section 2. Section 3 might be, and then we found it, and now we have the plan. So now we're hopeful, and now we're excited. We end on a high note. So it might be layering you have the messaging, the key messages across each section. You have the information you want to convey to back up your message. And then you have this story arc that kind of develops. And within a story, it's not a monotone story. It's this dynamic story where it's like, hey, like people were involved here, and then we learned this, and then we did this, and now we're happy. So you apply the attitude and emotion to those key points you have. A fun game for this, a fun exercise for this, and again, anyone can use this. This is a good exercise for communication in general. Is here's how the game works. You pick a topic. Let's say we're going to pick a topic outside of work. That's more fun. So something you do as a hobby, a pastime, something you know a lot about, something you look forward to, something that makes you happy, any of those types of things. So you pick a topic and then you pick three opinions or stances or positions around that topic. So let me just make it real life, Emily. Let's just pick something fun, sports. Let's just pick baseball, for example. Baseball is my main topic. Then I'm going to come up with three kind of sections, so to say, three opinions about baseball. Uh, baseball, baseball is boring. That's a boring sport, man. Holy cow. What in the heck are we doing? Baseball's boring. That's number one. Number two could be, but baseball got a lot better when they put the new rules in that made it go faster. Okay. A third one can be baseball. Opinion on baseball would be baseball is amazing. It's the greatest sport ever because it has such dynamic players to watch. Okay. So those are main topic baseball, three opinions on baseball. Now, the exercise is time yourself for a minute. And you can pick whatever time you want, but a minute's a good one. The reason we time ourselves is to know what a minute feels like when we're speaking. Because when we're speaking, time can like do weird things. You can be like, "Oh my gosh, that was like only 10 seconds. It felt like 5 hours." Or it can be like, "Oh my gosh, I was speaking for like 90 minutes and it was supposed to be 45." Okay, that's why everyone is glazing over and checking out and actually like leaving the meeting. Okay, got it. So, learning how to speak for a certain amount of time is good. And just for this example, like 1 minute. So, what does speaking for 60 seconds actually feel like? Okay. Then, so we have our three opinions on baseball. We're going to speak to each of them for a minute. Let's take the first one. Baseball is boring. You can apply different attitudes to that opinion. And this is just for fun. This is just like a game to stretch our muscles and to exercise those muscles. So let me do a real life example. This might be weird for you, but here we go. Um, Baseball is boring. What's an emotion around that? Anger. I could be angry about that. How dare baseball be boring? Okay, so let me speak for about a minute. I don't have a timer here, but just I'll do my best here. Um, okay, here we go. Baseball is so freaking boring. Like, why do we have to have this? Why is this America's like favorite pastime? That's total BS. Baseball is the slowest moving sport I've ever seen. Give me basketball. Give me hockey. Give me football. Something's actually happening. Freaking baseball, like someone walks up to the plate, takes their sweet time to put their gloves on, taps their cleats for good luck. Is this like superstitious? What are we doing here? Pitcher is like doing their thing up in the mound. They pitch the ball. Oh, he misses it. Okay, guess what? We're going to wait here for several more minutes while he does his gloves again. What are we doing? He misses again. I'm sitting here. I'm still sitting here. All right. Now he gets on base. Okay, hallelujah, freaking A. Like that, I'm asleep. I'm already asleep by now. Baseball is so boring. All right, that was my angry example. What is a different emotion? What is the opposite of anger? What is the opposite of anger? Disinterest? Like apathy? Um, Sad. Okay, I could be sad. That's a good one. Okay, same topic, same section 1, baseball is boring, but this is a different attitude applied to it. All right, here we go. um, Baseball is so boring. I have to go to baseball every week with my family, and I want to cry tears of boredom every time. I'm sitting there in the stands. I'm watching this dude slowly walk up to the plate. He's putting on his gloves like he has not a care in the world. Like we have all the time in the world to watch you put on your gloves and tap your cleats. And then the pitcher's not in any hurry. He's doing his thing and he throws the pitch and he misses it. Okay. Oh my gosh, like people around me are getting all excited. That was a swing and a miss. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't want to be here. People are eating nachos. I'm eating popcorn. I had some bad popcorn and some bad peanuts, and now I'm sick, but mostly I'm sleepy because I'm bored. And I'm sad and I'm bored because baseball is the most boring sport ever. Okay. So that was my best sad. That was more like just like I'm bored. But anyway, you get the gist, right? So same thing I was talking to, but with a different attitude. And it sounds different. It comes out a little bit differently. And so that's something you can just play around with too. And you can go through and kind of like so baseball's boring was section 1. Um what was the last one? Baseball is the most amazing sport ever because there's these dynamic players. So this could be like you're excited like, "Oh my gosh, like this is the best thing ever." So baseball is the best, most amazing sport ever because it has dynamic players. Bryce Harper is like in your face, in the umpire's face. He gets ejected because, like, you're a horrible umpire. You called that wrong, and you're a horrible umpire in multiple games. I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to tell you how bad you are, and he gets ejected, but he doesn't care. Bryce Harper got injured and he had to get surgery, but he came back in record speed. And you know what? He had to switch positions to first base. Now he's playing first base and he's kicking ass there. So this is like the most dynamic player ever. You watch these players, you get invested in their storylines, you know their personalities, and that's why baseball is the most amazing sport ever because of these dynamic players. Okay. So that was enthusiasm, that was excited. So hopefully you can hear little differences in the attitude that you apply. And if you are applying different emotions to your presentation, it helps convey that message, right? The reason we apply these things is because it helps convey the message we intend. Back to your point, Catherine, like I want to I'm conveying the meaning I intend. Having the key point helps you do that and be flexible and fluid in the way you do that. Applying the attitude and emotion also helps your audience pick up on what you're trying to lay down, right? It's a nonverbal cue, but it's like, oh, we pick up on the emotion. She's really excited about that, and therefore I am excited about that. Oh, that was a sad part. There was some challenges. That was rough. I'm picking up on that too. Ah, we talked about that 6 months ago. A lot has happened, but I remember that. I remember how tough that was for the team. So you add the emotion to it and it helps convey your message. Okay. Now, hopefully, like the exercise I just demonstrated, like to use the baseball analogy, when people are on deck to go at bat, they're swinging two bats because it's heavier than one. They have those rings on them, the weighted rings. They're swinging with a heavier bat. So when they get up to be actually at bat at the plate, it's easy to swing. So some of the reasons we do these exercises and we do it in an exaggerated way, or like, I'm so sad, is because we're swinging with two bats. So when we get up to present, sorry, I'm super excited. My mouth is like moving faster than my thoughts, or I think it's the other way around. Anyway, when you get up to your presentation, it's easy. It's like swinging one bat instead of two. I just knocked over the mic. I'm so excited about this exercise. My point is that you practice harder than the game. That's what I'm trying to say. You practice harder than the at bat itself. So when you get into your presentation, this is easy. This is swinging one bat. I'm like paying attention, of course, but I just did my exercises with two bats or with a weighted bat situation. So this is easy. So that was what I was trying to say there. Holy cow. Bring it in, Emily. Here we go. Catherine, let me make sure I'm answering your question here. Um, how do I prepare in a way that helps me feel confident without having to hold on to a script for dear life? Yes. Okay. So we've talked about the key points, not a script, the key points. You can talk to them any one of 100 different ways to get to that key point. You know your stuff, you know your audience. You can be flexible and fluid and dynamic within that conversation and within that presentation itself. Um, you know what it's like to talk for a minute. You know what it's like to talk for 5 minutes because you've been practicing. And so you can be like, oh, they have a question. I know my time slot here. I know how much time we have left. Let me talk to like this 3A point here in section 3 and my first point here for about a minute. Here we go. Boom. Okay. You can deploy that, right? You have confidence in that. You've practiced that. That's what you center your prep around. What are the key ideas I want to convey? One other thing I would say here to help me feel confident. Right now, it seems like your confidence is derived from having the exact words. So your perceived confidence is derived from having the quote unquote right words to say. I would tilt that and angle that over to what we've been talking about, over to having confidence that you know your key points. So instead of spending your time around finding the exact right words, you spend your prep time around sitting back, zooming out, big picture. What do I know? What do I maybe take for granted because I'm in it every day? And the audience doesn't know. That's actually, they want that information. They need to know that information. Maybe it's thinking through, okay, who is on this call that I'm going to be on? Who am I presenting to? And understanding what's important to them. Okay, what's the best way to convey that message to them? You want to be centering your preparation around those types of things instead of the exact words to use here, 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 and here. Right? So I think pointing your confidence towards like, yep, I got my key messages and I'm confident and I can deliver these in 100 different ways, depending on how the actual conversations go. If you believe that, if you truly believe like, yep, I know my key points and I can be flexible with anything that comes up, I think you would truly be confident. I think you would have true confidence walking into your presentation. So all right. I went a little crazy with this one. So hopefully that exercise is valuable to you, Catherine, and also to other folks in different communication scenarios. But hopefully you have some tools and some tactical and practical takeaways to apply to your prep for this presentation and for future presentations, and a overarching framework, kind of different mindset to have around confidence going into these types of things. And with that, I will catch you next time on Leveraging Leadership.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.